Johnathan Gray is arguably the greatest high school running back of all time out of the state of Texas. At the University of Texas, he carried that same fire onto the field, becoming one of the Longhorns' most explosive playmakers. But a series of leg injuries would really change the trajectory of his entire athletic career. I sat down with him to talk about his story, rising the ranks of football, becoming the #1 running back in his recruiting class, to overcoming the adversity of multiple career-changing injuries. So without further ado, where are they now? Johnathan Gray. Johnathan. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate the time.
Oh, no problem. Anytime.
Absolutely. And look, you're considered by many as one of the greatest Texas high school football running backs of all time. I mean, the stats, 10,889 yards, 205 total touchdowns. Did you have a moment, whether it was early on in your high school career, middle school, earlier on, where you kind of had that realization of like, I'm pretty good at this football thing?
No, truth be told, it's funny. So, me and my dad, I think I was in elementary, 5th grade might have been. And we were watching high school football, and the ticker comes up with all the records and stuff. And we're looking at like 205, or I think it was like 200 something touchdowns and some catches here and there. I was like, those records would never probably be broken in this time period. Cause I mean, that's a lot of things to happen. And then fast forward, I go to Crowley Middle School, and there's another running back, AJ Hartfield, who's their guy. And so I was getting, carries here, carries there in middle school, but every time I touched the ball, I scored. And so, it was like, okay, I'm just playing to have fun. I'm playing football. That's what I love to do. And then I ended up going to Aledo High School and, doing a transfer deal and having to go deal with UIL. I had to play JV for 2 games. And then I think every time I touched the ball, I scored in JV, playing against Stephenville and some other team. And then so I ended up eventually getting to go to varsity. Well, varsity, I'm still trying to find my way. There's seniors there. So again, I'm just playing football and, having fun, not even thinking about, I want to go to the next level, to college and all that stuff. I'm just playing football. And whoever gives me the opportunity, that's where I get to play. And then I think I scored like 15 touchdowns that year. And then sophomore year came, then we won state, still not realizing what we're doing, but I think I'm scoring like 3-4 touchdowns every game. And then I forgot when it was, but they're like, hey, you're on pace to break a record. Still not thinking about no record because we went to state, and then I'm starting to get recruited. I think Oklahoma was my first offer. And I'm just playing, and then come junior year, they're like, yeah, you're on pace, and it looks like you're going to break the touchdown record. You're going to, set these records and that record. And I looked at my teammates were coming up to me, and I was like, I don't care. I just want to win state. I want to win. And so we ended up doing that. And then before you know it, all my teammates wanted me to get the record more than I did. And so, breaking records in Texas is a great thing. But just being a football player from Texas and, all that comes with it is phenomenal.
Yeah, and I want to unpack a bunch of that. I want to go over your first offer in a second too. But I just wanted people to realize when you say every time you touch the ball you scored. I mean, there were some of the scores. I was Spring Hill 83-21. You averaged 21 yards a carry. How does that even happen? Like that's impossible.
I think a lot goes into people not wanting to tackle, and then a lot of it was because growing up there was a lot of guys more athletic than I was.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing for me was watching film, and I was a one cut guy because I didn't want to do all that dancing. And when I was in Pee Wee, my daddy punched me in my chest and cussed me out because I was dancing and doing all that stuff. So I was like, make one cut and go and, use my speed to get me to where I need to be. And watching film helped me do a lot of that because I already knew what was about to happen. So it was just set up my blocks, make one cut, and then I'm gone. I'm not doing all that dancing. Y'all can have it. And it worked out. Worked out pretty well. And so that's always the mindset I had because that's the type of running back that I was. So watching film was huge because I knew I wasn't going to, always be the best.
Yeah.
So that's what I relied on was film.
So you were a student of the game pretty early on. I mean, I know high school football here in Texas is a little bit different. I grew up West Coast. It's not even comparable, to be honest,
right.
Specifically in Oregon. How did your mindset because I feel like that's kind of a rarity. I remember playing high school football early on, and we kind of, to be honest with you, groaned at like watching film. But I just kind of want to hear your mindset early on.
So my dad, he played for Texas Tech, and then he went on to play for the Patriots, got drafted to the Patriots, and then played for the 49ers. So having him in the house, telling me and teaching me, ways of the game and what to look for, and just being, a real father figure in the support of football and helping me understand actual football, not just out there playing. That was a huge part in my success in football. So I think having him in my corner and me always having that competition of I'm going to be better than you, and him always saying, no, you're not, but also teaching me how to be better than him, I think that was huge. And I think that's why, the mentality of watching film was so big and understanding football came so kind of natural to me.
Definitely. And do you remember either on your team at Aledo or even some teams and guys that you played where you kind of realized who you were playing with or playing against were like, oh, these are some dudes that are going to be good at the next level? Do you remember any specific names that come to mind?
Shoot. Playing, especially on our team, we had a bunch of guys that could have played, I think, Power Fives. You had Danny Heiss, who was a linebacker who knocked the crap out of me every practice. Dylan Hawkins, who was, I think, a great student of the game, and he was at the right place at the right time. He wasn't the fastest and he wasn't the strongest, but he was right there, almost such as like a Luke Kuechly-esque type linebacker that I think could have played at the next level. My sophomore year, we had dudes, and it was, it's always interesting to see coming from Texas and other things, seeing where dudes could have played and, what happened, why they couldn't, why they didn't offer us anything. But I think we had some good dudes that, especially from Aledo, that could play next level. And then, I played against Malcolm Brown, big Malcolm Brown from Brenham, and Tim Cole. And then it's so many guys, I can't think of them now, but it's so many guys that I played against who are now in the league, and then or that I played against in college and played against in Pee Wee football.
Yeah.
So, it's just like you said, the state of Texas is huge.
It's crazy.
So, the talent, you never know who you're going to play against. You never know how, everybody's going to grow and, end up.
Yeah, I had a little free time yesterday, and I went to go check out Allen High School, Eagle Stadium. I could not believe it. That's, again, unfathomable from where I'm from. My high school was like a football field and one side of bleachers. So, Texas football's different.
Their stadium's ridiculous. And then you look at their stadium and you look around Texas, you're like, shoot, not only are their stadium is huge, everybody else that you don't even know stadium is huge, and they got all these cafeterias and all this stuff. I'm like, golly, for some high school football.
Like 4 or 5 weight rooms in one. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. We do it big here in Texas.
No doubt. And yeah, you definitely had some dudes on your team. The scores show.
Yeah.
And when was the first moment that you heard your name and 5-star in the same sentence?
Probably my junior year, really. I knew what stars kind of were, but I wasn't looking on the internet like Rivals or anything like that, because we were still looking at the newspaper. And I think the only thing that, was high was the Sunday sports deal on, I forgot who was doing it, but it was on Sundays.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was watching and then reading in the newspaper. And I think, somebody was like, oh, you're a 5-star. I was like, what? What is that? They don't even say, what a 5-star. And it was like, oh, this is how they grade you. And this is what you're doing. I think it was like my junior year is when I heard, 5-star this and, all these stuff starting to come, these accolades are starting to pop up like records and, if you do this and this is where we're projected to be. So, my junior year, I guess, started to take off.
Yeah, because now it's so normal. You feel like kids probably monitor, to your point, 24/7 Rivals every single day.
Yes, I didn't, somebody was like, oh, such and such is ranked this and such ranked. I'm like, I don't. Who do we play on Friday? And then let's go watch film on Saturday and then get ready for the next team we play on Saturday was my mindset. It wasn't like, oh, I'm trying to, be better than this running back in Houston or in the area. It's just like I play and I get the ball and I do what I do to help the team win and we go from there.
Do you think that becomes too much of a distraction now?
Yes.
Yeah.
All these, oh my goodness. Being in the sports performance field now is, almost detrimental to these kids because they are so infatuated on these stars and, trying to
Ranking,
be
yeah.
better instead of just doing their job
Yeah.
and letting everything else fall in play. As people that I work with or guys that I work with, or I'm trying to teach them like, hey, if y'all are chasing these stars and chasing other people, if you just watch film, it'll come a little bit easier to you. Then you'll start to get on top and, but until then, until we start teaching them, and then the parents, the parents have to get more involved with helping them understand because they're kids. The frontal lobes aren't developed. And, 18-year-old kid or a 16-year-old kid, somebody telling them that they're great, they're like, oh, I'm feeling myself,
Yeah.
And they do well. They're like, I'm feeling myself, but they need people to, humble them.
Yeah.
So I think we got to do a better job of that because, man, this stuff is getting out of hand. And now we're not even thinking about football. We're thinking about, money and, likes and things of that nature.
100%. And there definitely is some pros to it, but to your point, it's like, whereas, 5-10 years ago, the best of the best had a, YouTube mixtape. Now everybody has a mixtape.
Everybody got a mixtape. Yeah. It's funny because people were like, hey, have you seen your deal on YouTube with you and your dad? Somebody made a, I was like, no, I didn't even know. I didn't even know I had a mixtape. And, they showed it to him like, man, somebody took the time out, thank you, to make all this. But it's like, I wasn't even thinking about that. And my mindset was always like, well, if I do decide to, be it, and social media wasn't that big. I think it started to become big after my senior year in high school. So, my mindset was like, well, if I do, act and think that I'm the big dog and do this, that, and the other, what happens if I don't? Then then somebody's gonna be like, oh, see, I knew he sucked or I knew he wasn't good. Now, if I'm a 16-year-old kid with low self-esteem, I'm gonna be like, man, they really think I'm sorry. Now I'm really not gonna play well.
Yeah.
So I think we gotta do a better job of, helping and building in a different way versus just saying, oh yeah, get on social media and post every day and do that stuff. And I understand there is perks to that and there's pros to it, but I mean, when do we look at the cons and say, I think the cons are, neck and neck with the pros?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is crazy.
There's a point where it seems like it's too much, and I feel like we're to that point.
Yeah, we should just took steps and, grew as we let the social media grow as we grow, not so rapid and, let the floodgates happen. But here we are.
Yeah.
So we got to deal with it.
Yeah. So you mentioned Oklahoma was your first offer. Do you remember kind of how that transpired?
Yeah. So after my freshman year, my dad took me to Oklahoma camp, and I thought it was just like a regular, skills type of thing. You run a 40, do an L drill here and there. We actually did half pads. I was like, okay, this is cool. This is nice. Man, we were out there banging. I mean, in half pads, we were out there banging because, you're at the University of Oklahoma, and all these kids are trying to get offers and stuff like that. So we're just going through, and I'm having a blast. And we were doing defense and offensive drills. And then I think Oklahoma, after the thing, I think I did fairly well. And so they came and they were like, hey, we've been watching you at Aledo. We've heard a lot about you. And we like what we saw at camp. And we're thinking about offering you. We want you to come up here in the spring game and that stuff like that. So I'm talking to my dad, and my dad was handling all my recruitment and stuff. So they ended up offering at my freshman year. And I think my dad was like, well, hold on, because he's a freshman and we don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 years. So let's gradually do this thing. And I think they wanted me to commit my freshman year and do the hurry up thing. And we were like, well, we're not going to do that, but thank you for the offer and appreciate that. So, later on, I get so many other offers and stuff like that. So Oklahoma was fun. I wish they could go back and do the half pad deal, because that's how you really evaluate somebody, not this 40 and L drill. That's just you just running.
Yeah.
Right. You want to see if guys can actually go through the pressure and, actually pass, protect, and do that type of deal. So I think that was great, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's no hate to some of those. I'll call them like alternative leagues, but like the 7-on-7s and stuff. It's just it's different.
It's different.
Not. Yeah,
it's very different, and it's different evaluations, and you can't try to take just running and compare a football player and pull them in pads and stuff like that. So it's wicked.
So was there kind of a domino effect maybe after the Oklahoma offer? Or when were kind of those next offers they come in?
I think my next offers were after I want to say like mid sophomore year, after sophomore year. I got TCU, Auburn, A&M, and some other offers, and then I started to see like, oh, this is a thing. This is about to be big, and then getting hit up from coaches, and my dad saying, like, hey, you need to call this coach, and you need to talk to him and do that type of thing. So yeah, sophomore year was started to open up the floodgates of offers, and I think the best thing my dad could have done was tell me to talk to them and learn how to talk to coaches and understand what they want and need from you and what you really want from the school and where you can see yourself at, and not just say, oh, I got a whole bunch of offers, because you can only go to one.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah, we're not playing this whole, I got all these offers, and no, we're going to really hone in to what really makes sense and let these people know so they don't waste their time and you don't waste your time.
Yeah. Sounds like your dad was a fantastic mentor, because I mean, you look at nowadays and you have to take into consideration money, NIL. You have an agent, most likely.
Yeah.
There are competitions where people say, I actually don't want to compete. I'd rather just start right off the bat.
Yeah.
So it sounds like your father was a fantastic, valuable mentor.
And I think the best advice my mom could have gave me was, all I care about is you getting an education. Because she was like, yeah, football is football, but I care about you getting an education. And I don't need a house. We don't need no car. That's what we work for. So we don't need you to take care of us in that sense. But you need to learn how to take care of yourself. Yeah. And so I think that was the best advice she could have gave me, because now it's not, oh, I want to make it to the league so I can buy my parents a house. It's, I want to make it in life so I can make my parents proud and make something of myself, whether that be in football, whether that be in another career or whatnot, be successful in that and understand how to be, become an adult, becoming a man, and, eventually raise your family and stuff. So
definitely.
Yeah, both my parents were two big supporters and too big. Yeah, they was just big everything.
That's awesome.
In my career, my whole career, football career.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. And did you have any really, really memorable visits or things that kind of blew you away at certain schools, whether it was like the stadium, environment, or something like that?
Let's see. Honestly, again, recruitment back then was, I think everybody, all the football fields and stuff were starting to become a thing where people were putting, all these stadiums and rebuilding their stadiums. I think Texas was, the locker rooms was the big thing for them. What other offer? Same thing with Oklahoma. I think they were working on their stadium, TCU. And so it wasn't like, oh, wow type of thing in that sense, but talking to the coaches was. And, hearing Coach Sherman from A&M speak and Randy Jordan, the running backs coach, I was fired up to run through a wall after talking to them at A&M. And I think that was the biggest wow factor for me, was the coaches. Yeah. Coach Applewhite was the running backs coach at Texas. And I think what ultimately made me decide Texas was Applewhite's. He was like, we like you. We think you're a good back, but you're going to have to compete. Yeah. We got all these good backs, so you're going to compete. And I was like, thank you. Because, some schools were like, oh, yeah, you're going to come up here and start. And I was like, I'm a child. I don't know the playbook yet. Yeah. So how am I going to start? I don't know what to understand and look out for, do all that stuff in a college atmosphere, because I've never been. So how you going to tell me I'm starting? Yeah. So I think that was the biggest thing for Applewhite and Mac Brown. Mac Brown brought me to the board and was like, look, this is how we're recruiting. We have Tim Wright at the time at Lamarck. He was above me. And so Mac was like, we're going to be candid with you, and this is where we see y'all and see you. And, whatever happens, happens. Yeah. I was like, I like this. I like the honesty, and I like the, you get to make your choice, because we're, very transparent, and, let the chips fall where they lay. And I think that was big in my recruitment. I think a lot of schools did that. Were very honest. Yeah. It's pretty wild seeing some of these true freshmen become starters in college football. I mean, I spoke with
Trevor Knight just a few days ago.
And
he made it abundantly clear that when he got to Oklahoma, he's like, there is absolutely no way I could have started as a true freshman. And it's just, I mean, you see, and there's some guys that are succeeding at such a high level as true freshmen. You look at the Cal quarterback, Jaron, and it's just, I didn't, I guess as a viewer and a fan and consumer of college football, I didn't realize that, they're even in a big place here like Texas, there's that much of a jump to the next level, Division I.
Yes, and then you have to understand you're in school now. You don't have somebody telling you to get up, and now you have this big old playbook on top of school, and then you have all these other players that been there that you didn't even know of that are dudes. When I went to Texas, I knew of Malcolm because he was #1 running back as well, but Joe Bergeron was a dude. And I didn't know Joe Bergeron until I walked into Texas, and I had committed already, but I'm in there on, I think, junior day or whatnot. He was in there. I was like, who is this linebacker? And he's like, oh, no, that's Joe Bergeron. He plays running back. And then I looked at his film, like, Joe is 240-something pounds, and he moves like he's 205. He's a dog. And so it's like, okay, this is what my dad prepared me for. You're going to get up to college and you're going to see some stuff that you've never seen or they're not going to tell you about. And you're going to have to either sink or swim. And so it was like, okay, this is what my dad talked about. And let's see how good I am. And let's see if I can compete and play at the next level. I mean, that was the most nerve-wracking but enjoyable deal at Texas was I got to compete. I got to play against some dudes and with some dudes. So I think all in all, it was like the best choice.
Yeah.
But you just see all this stuff and you're like, there's no way I'm going to start as a freshman. I can't start. I don't even know half the stuff that they know just off that alone.
Yeah.
So, and these coaches got to keep a job. So I'm not going to be the one to get them fired.
Yeah.
So starting as a true freshman, that's huge.
Yeah.
And kudos to ones who can do it.
Definitely. And were there some guys at Texas, some players that took you, kind of some of the mentors? Can you talk about some mentors that you might have had as other players at Texas that kind of took you under their wing?
Malcolm Brown, Kenny Vaccaro. Kenny Vaccaro was a big one. He talk about dudes. My freshman year, Kenny's playing corner / safety. And, being a running back and I'm starting to, block Dalton Santos and all these bigger linebackers. I'm like, a corner? I can block a corner when they send a corner blitz. When I tell you Kenny Vaccaro came off the edge and I thought I was just going to catch him and, block, and he knocked my helmet off. Helmet was all to the side and put me over there back where the coaches were. I was like, who is this? They was like, yeah, freshman, get your head on a swivel. That's Kenny Vaccaro. And then I got to play with him, see him play. I'm like, oh, he don't do this to just me. He does this to everybody. He plays like that from practice to the game. And so he was a big one because he wanted me to be successful as well. So he was always in my ear and, telling me things like, hey, get this together. You're not going to play. So I think he was a huge one. Jackson Jeffcoat. I've been knowing Jackson Jeffcoat since I was little. So when he was at Texas, he took me under his wing and was telling me what to look out for, how to do this, how to go about that, and, stay patient and, the rest will fall.
Yeah, that almost sounds like a welcome to college football moment in itself. But I was going to ask if you had one against an opponent. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of the defensive end that was at Oklahoma. His last name was Gresham. Can't think of it. We were running power, and our guard didn't get there fast enough, and he cold clocked me. Pow! I think I fumbled the football, but I got it back. He bent my face mask. I was like, oh, this is what...
He bit your face mask?
He bent the face mask.
Oh, he bent it.
Yeah, he bent the face mask. And I was like, oh, this is welcome to college. This is what the railroad rivalry is about. Yeah. And it's like, wake up. Wake up, freshman.
Did you have to get a new helmet? Like, how does that in-game?
No, because he bent a little bit and not enough to where I had to get a whole new helmet. But when he came off scot-free, I was like, oh, yeah, this hurts.
Yeah.
That headache. That was my welcome to college. And then I think, Kenny Vaccaro was my first one. That was,
I feel like it's almost always teammates of the guys that I've asked. It's almost always teammates.
It's always
in camp.
teammates because they're trying to see if their teammate is tough enough to go into battle with them.
Yeah,
so I get it.
Totally,
I get it. So
Trevor's first one was Myles Garrett. That was his welcome to college football moment. I can't even imagine.
Oh, I feel bad for him. I can only imagine.
So look, these days I feel like the Texas sideline is just full of celebrities. You have McConaughey, you got, Glenn Powell. I saw Big X the Plug was there.
Yeah.
Was that a thing kind of in your day?
No, I think we were on and I sound old. It's not back in our day. We were on the start of everything. So like when Twitter and Instagram were starting to become popular, that was in my 12th grade, so my senior year of high school. And then, freshman and sophomore year, it was just Twitter and Instagram and, talking about players. And then you'll see like VY or Colt McCoy on the sideline, but no like movie celebrities or anything like that to that extent. And then, I want to say my senior year of college, that's when, people were on the sideline. You're like, oh, they playing movies, or Matthew McConaughey starting to come and, do his thing. And then, Earl Campbell would always come to practice and stuff. So you start to see a little bit more celebrities come up. And then after, I think when Sam Ellinger was there and they won 10 games and whatnot, then that's when, everybody was on the sideline. And so, it wasn't that big. And Mac didn't keep it that big like that. He wanted us to stay football and keep everything football and stay focused.
Do you know or wonder what the switch was? Was it the winning of the games, or what was the maybe culture switch that was all of a sudden celebrities are like, I'm a Longhorns fan?
I don't know. It's, because I always look at it like when Mac Brown was there, it was more, laid back in a sense. And because we had 2 good years, I say 2 good years and 2, lesson learned years when we had Charlie Strong. So I think that Charlie Strong era, we was just, as Texas, starting to try to figure out who we were again. And then, Herman came and we won. And then now Shark is here. And now we got celebrities all over. And it's because I think we win, then we start to go down a little bit and then come up. And then now we're up. So, everybody wants to come to the winning team and, be a part of something big. So I think that's what's happening now.
Yeah. And what were some of your most memorable moments at Texas, whether games, whether plays? What were some things that really stood out to you?
Oh man, I think what stood out, I mean, it's a bunch of stuff that stood out. I think, for school wise, it's meeting people that you probably wouldn't ever meet outside of sports. I made it a point to, not sit necessarily with the football team all the time, but go and sit with some of these other girls and guys that, want to be accountants or want to be doctors or something like that, or just want to be regular people, and go sit with them and figure out what they are, because they can bring you so much insight into just life. And you never know, you might be calling them 10 years down the road. So, and I'm glad I did, because I still have some of those connections that I call today. So I think that's very memorable for me. And then playing wise, it's just, being able to play for the University of Texas, be from Texas, play for the University of Texas, win at Texas, and then get to go and travel, play SEC teams like Ole Miss, and then, be in a Red River Rivalry shootout and play against, all these great places like West Virginia that, they're all cussing you out and spitting on you and whatnot. And then Oklahoma State, where they're slapping the pads and stuff and how loud it is. And, being in those atmospheres and, being able to play and compete. I think those are the biggest moments I can say. I don't have one specific, but, it's just a collective.
Yeah, for sure. And what was the loudest atmosphere you walked into?
Loudest, probably, I think Ole Miss, really. My freshman year, it was loud. I was like, oh, why? They only have 70? Don't we have 101? They sound louder than we do when we play at home. But I think them or Oklahoma State. Yeah. Because they had the pads and they're slapping them all game and they're up all game. And I think those are 2 loudest places we played. Yeah, when I was playing,
for sure.
So yeah,
now I want to talk about the injuries, and so I think it was 2013 was your right Achilles, and
left.
Excuse me, and then 2015 was your right. What again? Young kid in college. I could tell you have, you're just a really humble guy. And how did you deal with that adversity? I mean, for the one injury in itself, it has been difficult. But the second time it happened on the other side, How did you deal with
Man,
that?
it's crazy how the universe works. So Jordan Hicks that year tore his Achilles. And so he was doing rehab and stuff, and we was just over there talking. I was like, "Well, how does it feel?" And he's like, "Somebody feels like somebody poked me with a little penknife, or it feels like somebody kicked me." I was like, "Oh, didn't? Oh, that's crazy, but get better because we hate that you're not out there." And then fast forward, um, we don't think much of it, and we're out there, and I think I'm having a good game against West Virginia, and I go and catch the ball, and I'm like, oh, I might get ready to score, and as I go to push off, pow, and the crowd, and it felt like the crowd got silent, and the only thing that I heard was that pop, and the last thing I remember was my left tackle running to go block. I thought he had tripped me. So when I fell, I was like, dang, KP, why you trip me? I was about to go score. And then I looked and I was like, oh, ain't nobody behind me. And I was like, oh, my calf, it feels like a cramp is in my calf. And so I laid there, I was like, dang, I think I tore my Achilles. And so I get off the sideline, they come and help me, and Mac's coming over there. And I was like, no, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be back. I just need to get this cramp out. So I'm on the bench, and we had the warm bench because it was cold out there. And so I'm just rubbing my calf, like, no, I'm gonna get this calf cramp out. But I can't move my foot. I notice I can't move my foot. So I get up, I stumble back. I'm like, dang, yeah, I tore my Achilles. So now my mind goes into, well, this sucks, but I tore both my labrums in high school, so I'll be back, I'll be fine. But and I was asking the doctor, what's the recovery, or when will I be back? All that stuff, and he was like, well, just wait. We don't know if you tore it. I was like, Doc, I tore my Achilles. I feel that I hurt it, and they get me back to the thing, and I think the expression, because my mom comes back there, she was crying. I was like, what you crying for? I think they wanted, was expecting a different response when I tore it. But again, from my childhood, my parents have always said, this is what we care about. This is what, this will support you in anything you do. So the thought of, oh man, I can't do all these things for my parents. I didn't have that because I'm in school. I'm doing well in school. I get to play football. I'll be back. I'm not dead. This is not life or death. I'll have surgery. I know how my mentality is when I come off of a surgery and do what I need to do. So I'm in there like, Doc, tell me what's the recovery. And he was like, well, it's going to be. I was like, Doc, don't sugarcoat it. Just tell me. So that happened. And, you sit back and you think, you're like, well, I tore my Achilles. I can either sulk and be like, man, my career is over. Why me? Or you can say, okay, this is another adversity. This is another challenge that you are dealt with. Let's see how you get through it. And, obviously I chose let me see how I get through this and let me learn something about myself when I'm not playing football, how well I can do in school, how well I can, be on time to things and, time management, how more prepared can I make myself now that I can't play football. So I went into that mode. So that way I didn't, go to, sulk and say, oh man, why me? And, get in this depressive state. And, the team rally around me and, I had the support of the team. So I think that's what kept me upbeat. And, I had my family and my friends. So I was good. I was good at that. And then me knowing my body, I was like, well, the unfortunate part is, and talking about statistics with our trainer, I said the unfortunate part is I'm probably going to tear my other one.
You were right.
Which was crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that might happen. And then I come off this surgery, I'm playing, doing well, and I'm getting back. And all of a sudden, this foot starts to feel the same way. So it was just a matter of time. And the unfortunate part, my senior year, we're playing Notre Dame, and I tried to go make a cut. And if I make this cut, I probably go score. But I end up double cutting because my right Achilles was just not there. I was like, I think I might tear this sometime this season. And so I'm playing, and then I had a hamstring deal. And then after I ended up getting turf toe. And then after the season, I'm trying to get my body back right to get ready for the Senior Bowl, or to get ready for a bowl to go play in the Senior Bowl. And then I tear my Achilles at practice, getting ready for it. After talking to the Ravens scout, and he was asking me, like, how does it feel? what happened, da da da. And the night before we was talking about it, and then the next day, I end up tearing my Achilles, and I'm crutching. This is crazy. This is why I say crazy how the universe works. I'm the only one crutching back to the locker room. I see the Ravens coach. He was like, "What happened?" I said, "I tore my other Achilles." So it's just all the things just in the universe lined up to me tearing both my Achilles.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do? Do you soak, or do you figure out, a solution? And yeah, it sucks. And yeah, you probably won't play football ever again, but at least you have all these other things to go back on. That's why you get an education.
100%.
So, I've always been a hard-headed kid because I'm a tourist. I'm a April baby, but I've always listened to things as well. I might be stubborn, but I do listen, and I do figure out ways to. So all when my parents was like, yeah, injuries are gonna come and that might happen and you might end football. Yeah, I wasn't like, oh no, that won't happen to me.
Yeah.
I've always been the one that like, oh, that possibly very well could be. Let me not do that, or let me, go do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just one of those deals.
No, it's a really respectable and great mindset to have, because I feel like a lot of people these days are just, kind of get down on themselves. And it's just still at a young age, I can't imagine going through that, but you're just such a positive person.
Yeah, you got to stay positive. I think and it's crazy. I think I learned being positive from my aunt, my Aunt Dorothy. She had so much stuff happen to her, and where my pawpaw dying and all that stuff. She's always been somebody who's always been upbeat or never show, how down she is, and she's always uplifting other people even when she's down. So I think that was the biggest thing, just growing up and seeing her, how she deals with adversity and stuff. And she's always a positive person. I was like, so you mean tell me you can go through bad things and still be positive and, see the other light on the other side? I might want to take that.
Yeah.
So just watching her and growing up with her, I think that's why I'd rather be positive than the negative side of everything.
For sure. 100%. And really quick, can you just describe, maybe for people that don't know, what turf toe is? Because you mentioned you had that. Because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, turf toe injury, that seems so minor. But can you just describe the gravity of that?
No, it is not minor at all. Because I think that's what Ultimate Dion has, and that's what he was dealing with his feet. And it can be bad. I think
Joe Burrow too.
Yeah. Joe Burrow, yeah. It depends on how bad you do it. My foot got stuck in the turf, and my offensive lineman fell flat on my heel. So my big toe bends all the way back, and I strained the ligament that runs through it, and it's like I think like two bones that end up like moving a little bit. So I think for most people who are out for a season for that, I think it just either tear the ligament or those bones separate to where you have to get surgery on it. So turf toe can really it's not just a jammed big toe in the turf. It's your big old toe bending back in a way, and that ligament doing what it's doing in those bones in there. And yeah, it can really end your season because you can't bend it.
Yeah.
They put a plate in my shoe and taped it as much as they could, and you can't bend your big toe. And I don't know who, if you ask some of these people who don't have big toes, it's kind of hard to walk without a big toe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how my turf toe happened. And then looking at Dion's situation, it's like, man, if that turf toe can cause other complications, people, that's not just a minor thing.
Yeah, take it seriously.
It's a big thing. And then I've heard stories where people got turf toe and got a cortisone shot, and then ultimately in their career because they damaged that ligament or damaged that toe, and then you can't do anything without your big toe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't play football without your big toe.
No doubt. Serious injury.
So yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a serious injury.
And you were mentioning the Baltimore Scout, and could you kind of talk about that transition from college and then to kind of the pros? And I know that you went undrafted and it was, but kind of after that second injury, walk me through what the discussions were, maybe with your father and your family, as well as maybe with other scouts, and kind of how that process went.
So the process, we were in Bedford, Texas, and that's where I think it was Gridiron deal, and they can come see a bunch of college guys come out and play, and then from there, how well you do, I think you get an invite to the Reese's Pieces Bowl if they have room. And so, you have I talked to the Patriot Scouts, the Raven Scouts, the Giants, And before, the interesting part, the night before, they were like, "Well, we'll probably look into you. Probably going to go undrafted, but we'll look into it because we like what you've done at Texas, and we can see the professional side of you outside of college." And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." They just need to see. I think the biggest thing was pass protection for me and just being healthy. And so I thought I was just that, and I was ready to show what I could do. And so they'll bring you up, and they wanted to see how well you knew football. So I think the Patriots, they brought me up and said, "Hey, what's this formation? What are they running? What do you see here? Why did you decide to run there and not here?" So they quiz you, and they want to see if you know ball, and they want to see if you are a locker room guy. They want to see all these other things. So they'll ask you, how's the family, how's your girlfriend, and things that you don't even think that they know. They're going to ask because it's their job, and they are trying to ultimately pay you all this money to be a part of their organization. And so that process was good. And then so I wake up the next day, ready to, because I'm getting some traction, and then I go and tear my Achilles. So the next day I go and tear my Achilles. So I was like, it's probably not.
So that was the third time?
No, the second time.
The second time. Oh, that was
the
okay.
night
Got
before,
it.
And then as I'm on the bus going back to the hotel, my Achilles is in my calf, and they're still asking me questions like, "Oh, so we saw you play K-State. What formation is here and what that?" I'm like, "Oh, my Achilles is in my calf," and I'm really trying to focus on explaining these plays and explaining these formations to these coaches while my Achilles is in my calf. And then I ended up calling my dad to come get me and whatnot. And so we went on from there. And then I got healthy, and then I got the invite to do rookie camp with the Giants. So, which was a shock to me because I ended up doing rookie camp with the Giants, and I did fairly well. They would bring me up into meetings and stuff like that, and this is how you finish. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this might be an actual thing, and maybe I'll get to make it on to the next level, or I think it was like OTAs or whatever, and invite me back to camp. But for whatever reason, they were doing what the Giants do, and so I was like, I know I can play in this league. But at the same time, it was like, do I do the whole runaround thing where I'm jumping from team to team? And at the time, I had just started training other athletes. So I was like, I'm doing my business, and then I'm trying to go pro. What's going to outweigh the thing? And, you come to a realization of, when does football serve its purpose? Mm-hmm. It could be 12 years into the league. It could be 1 year in the league. It could be, you getting prepared to go to the league, and you just had that realization of, I think football has served its purpose for me. Because A, you can't play your whole life. B, you're going to beat your body up the longer you play. So it's like, what is important to you, and what do you want to do once you're done playing?
Yeah.
So I think for me, football has served its purpose because I did so well at the rookie camp, and I was like, well, why didn't I get why wasn't I getting the opportunity to, just give an opportunity to go to the next deal? And then I was like, I'm going to just hone into my business and train, because this is what I love to do. And I want to see other athletes succeed and, reach their higher potential in this sport. And so it went off for me. I came back, I was training in Austin, and that was going well. And then I moved my business to Fort Worth, where I'm home, and then that took off again. And then now I'm with Athletic Performance Wrench, head strength and conditioning coach, and getting to work with some of the best guys like Travis Hunter, Cam Ward was at our facility as well. So getting to pre-draft prep stuff and working with pro NBA guys and doing that stuff, and then working with the best, working with our kids, from track, from basketball to football. It's like, this is what I love. And this is my Super Bowl. Every time I wake up in the morning, I get to help kids, achieve just not their dreams on and off a field or a track, but just in life in general.
Definitely.
So it was like, yeah, football has served its purpose. I think, I have a name, I'll be all right, and, take it from there. And it's been great ever since.
Yeah. And just before we dive into your business, because I do want to touch on that, didn't you have a brief stint? I think I read this where you were pro track and field. Or was that?
So,
Yeah.
so it's funny. So as I was doing that and it started to take off during the summer, I had some free time to do. Was with Frisco Fighters, and so I got to do some arena ball, just for laughs. So I got to do that, and then so Charles Simmon, who ran at TCU, who just got inducted, he was training to get back and to go run for the Olympics. And so Coach Greg, who's our track coach since we were little kids, he's our director. He was training Charles, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to, help Charles or help me and Charles do his weights and stuff?" I was like, "Shoes, yeah." And so I was still fairly in shape and doing all that stuff. So I was running with Charles, and before I know it, I was getting in running shape back when I was running track. And Coach Greg was like, "You might as well do some indoor meets." I was like, "Oh, sure, why not?" And so me and Charles went to Oklahoma, did indoor there. And it's funny because I think I'm just, stepping into this world when nobody knows me. And they were like, "You look familiar. What when you the running back at Texas?" I was like, "Yeah." They was like, "What are you doing here?" Because at the time I'm now 20, I think I was like 24. Some of these kids are like 19, 21. They're like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just running with Charles." And they was like, "Oh, Charles Simmon. I was like, "Oh, imagine that, me running indoor 60 meter," and then COVID. That was in the time of COVID. So we ended up running, and then everything had got shut down.
Yeah.
So it was pretty fun. I was like, why not? I'm still in shape, and let's do some track and, play a little bit more football and, have fun.
Yeah. And didn't you do a brief little bit of coaching too at Alito?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I did running backs coach at Alito. I taught middle school health, which is the teaching and coaching was great. It's just, training was just something that allowed me to do more and reach more people. So I ultimately coached that year, and then we ended up winning state. So, which is interesting. And somebody had brought this up to me. It was like, has anybody won 3 state championships and then years later came back and coached and won state championship their first coaching year? I was like, I don't know. That might be a cool little statistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. So now I got 1 as a coach and 3 as a player. So
that's awesome.
It's just I was joking with one of the coaches. I was like, "Yeah, man, all I do is win. I just come to these places just win." So it was pretty cool. And then some of the kids that I trained before, they were on that team, and so yeah, I've been having fun and getting to do. It's not even a job; it's just fun. I get to wake up and go train, and now that I have a daughter, she gets to come with me and you watch what Daddy does, and I get to these kids allow me to be in their lives versus either on the field or off the field, and whatever advice or whatever training I got for them, they allow me to do. So
yeah. And you mentioned some of the names that have come by and that you've trained with and helped train, and Travis Hunter and Cam Warden. What kind of makes you different as a trainer, and what kind of helps maybe your experience and your perspective kind of helps those younger guys?
To be honest, it's not, I mean, I like to, I'm a student of the game. I love to understand the body. I love what the body can do. So I'm always researching and doing all that stuff. So I don't ever consider myself as the expertise guy or the guru guy, but I learn from so many other people just watching. And, honestly, a little bit of luck comes from, just knowing people and, having those contacts to say, "Hey, Brashad Smith, y'all can go up to the ranch," and they have their trainers and stuff, and them saying, "Okay, well, we'll allow you to help us in our pre-draft," and just being able to do that, and it goes so well. I think with a little bit of luck and who and what goes into it, I think you're getting those right opportunities.
Yeah.
It's crazy because our space it's a nonprofit organization, and you just never know who's going to come in there professional wise because it's in a ducked off space and it's literally somewhere where you can train and get away.
Yeah.
So been very fortunate to get to work with some of the best from college and professional. So just keep riding this thing on out.
Yeah.
I think that growing and having those connections and then trying to help them to achieve to play at a high rate, I think that's what allows me to be a good trainer and try to potentially be great.
Yeah. And I'm really curious to hear your answer at this next question. I was very fortunate to get some time with Coach Samples from Duncanville, and he's one of the most successful high school coaches of all time, and also a phenomenal mentor, you know, father figure, et cetera, to a lot of guys. And I'm sure that a lot of people that you've trained with probably think of you in that same way as somebody who's a mentor to them. But I asked him this question. I want to ask you, in the years that have gone by, what have you learned about the youth just as much as they've learned from you? What have you learned from the youth in your experience that, you know, is an interesting takeaway maybe?
Man, I think because they have been exposed to so much, I think they are smart, too smart for their own good. And they have, I think they don't know their potential because the potential is so high. And so seeing them, how they communicate with each other, and, you know, how they play, and what they do in school and stuff, and what they want to learn. These kids want to learn. They are sponges. They want to be the best. They want to learn from the best. So they want to be knowledgeable. So their ear is always open. I think more so than our ears were, because, you know, we were stubborn just as much and hard-headed. But I think these kids really want to learn and want to be sponges. So just seeing that, especially in this time frame of where we are, these kids want to learn, and these kids want to do well, and they want to be the best, and they are doing anything and everything they can. I have a kid right now who he comes at 5 o'clock in the morning to come train, or he'll come at 6 o'clock in the morning to come train before school. So it's like, man, you know, I was waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, kind of doing some stretching, do some push-ups here, but nothing in the sense of waking up, driving 30 minutes just to get my butt kicked, and then go back to school, get ready for school, and then get my butt kicked in school, and then come back to get my butt kicked again. So I think the youth is, I think with a little bit more guidance from us, I think this youth can, you know, prosper and make something better than what we could. Yeah. And so I think, like I said, we as adults need to do a little bit better in guidance. And I think these kids they elevate. They'll take it and elevate it. So yeah, that's what shocks me about them. Definitely.
And if there is a young athlete watching this that's maybe in a different state and can't train with you, what's something that you would tell them that, you know, in order, it can kind of sound like be a sponge maybe, but what's something you would tell them to just be great out there?
Be a student of everything. Always be observant, I think, and be curious. I think curiosity, you know, creates intelligence. So be curious, observe, always ask questions, and really understand what you want to do. Have a plan. Don't just, you know, do things just, you know, by the pants of your seat. But yeah, always be curious, always be observant, and learn from other people's mistakes. That way you don't make the same mistakes. And yeah, I think you'll be successful in that way. And that can go from either your sport or you in another career, where it be a job, you know, outside of your sport. Definitely. So yeah, always be observant. Yeah. I think that's the best thing you could do, because you're not always going to be the best. You're not always going to be, you know, the great at this, but you can always put yourself in that position to be. Yeah. So yeah, I think we have to finish with that, Johnathan. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. It's always good. And you know, it's funny. So when Travis was training at our deal, Sports Illustrated came to do his piece. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And so the running joke in our family now is my daughter, because she had a piece in the thing. The running joke is your daughter was in Sports Illustrated before you was. And then y'all sent the email and was like, hey, we want to do a piece. We're doing pieces of where they are now. And I was like, oh, look, now Daddy gets to be this well. Now Daddy gets to have his moment. But I think that's pretty cool that, you know, my daughter, who's 2 years old, was in Sports Illustrated before everybody in the family. Well, now it's kind of come full circle. So seriously, really appreciate you sitting down with me. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's always been great. Cool. That's all we got. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching another Where Are They Now show. My name is Adam Ferris, your host. Make sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps us out, and click that bell so you will never miss a future video. And don't forget that we look at all the comments. We listen to you guys. So in the comments, let us know who we should sit down with next and answer the question of where are they now.